what have you seen from Chance Warren so far this spring, and what are your hopes for him as it turns to the fall season?
I'll tell you what, Scott, I'm super, super encouraged with Chance Warren. I think he's a tremendous leader. I think that he is a complete football player. He's one of those kids that makes plays. We're lucky to have him here at Navy, to be honest with you. And I'm very fortunate to be coaching him. You know, I have really high expectations for Chance and his continued success here with his career here at Navy.
And is he the type of player that once he gets more touches and is able to get into a groove that can really make things happen, do you think?
You know, I think Chance is one of those kids that's always in the groove. You know, if he gets 1 touch or 20 touches, he's a kid that he's the kid at the playground that just believes he's going to win, believes he's going to make that 3-point shot, believes he's going to score the touchdown. And that's who he is. You know, he's got a great amount of confidence, and that bodes really well in our room, obviously, with everything that we do. And so I'm excited to see him continue to make plays for us.
And has it helped that he had that season at receiver? Is that added to that all-around player that you like so much in him?
Yeah, you know, I think so. I think a guy like that can actually play and can compete, contribute at multiple positions is a huge benefit. It shows, you know, his football knowledge, his IQ from in the game of football. And certainly he's a kid that has developed quite a bit, and that will definitely help him.
Is he become a leader amongst the offense?
Oh, without question, Scott. He's a great leader on the offensive side of the ball. Across the board with the team, he's a great leader. In our room, he's a great leader. Takes the young guys and encourages them, and that's a process. You know, leadership is a process, and he's learned how to do it at a higher level and continues to work at it. And he's got humility. He's one of those kids that has this great amount of confidence, but also has this amount of humility that he will listen. He is coachable, which is what you want all of your players to be, so they can become the best players they can become. You know, and Chance is that type of kid.
Thanks a lot, Coach.
You bet. Thank you for all you do, Scott.
Hey, Joe, let's talk about Carlinos Acey a little bit. You know, where do you see him? You know, last year he got some good reps and got a lot of experience. How's Carlinos coming along?
Carlinos is doing a great job. He's another kid in our room that is a leader. Carlinos, his leadership style is a little bit different than Chance. Carlinos is a guy that he's a guy that you just can depend on. He's going to be there every single moment that he needs to be there and do a great job with whatever you ask him to do. And that's one of the great things about Carlinos is he is so dependable, and you just know exactly what you're going to get from him. You're going to get a kid that's going to give everything he has. He's going to be exactly right with his technique, with his assignment, and he's going to make plays for you. And I could be more excited for Carlinos going into his senior year to be able to watch him continue to develop and make plays for us and bring added value to our offense.
When we spoke with Ivan Jasper a few weeks ago, he mentioned Daniel Jones and said that he thought he was kind of a key guy, that he's got, you know, speed that maybe some of the other fellows don't have. Can you tell us a little bit more about Daniel Jones? Obviously, I don't know that I've ever seen him on the field. I don't think, did he play a varsity snap last year?
You know, he got in late. With COVID and the pandemic and everything last year, we didn't even get him until mid-season. So he didn't really have an opportunity, to be honest with you. But Bill, he's definitely going to be a guy that's going to be on the field for us. He's, you know, he's a kid that has tremendous upside athletically. He's got great heart and great desire to become a really, really good football player. And he's got ability. And when you take those things and put him in the mixer, you end up with someone that's going to make a lot of plays for us. And DJ, or Jonesy, that we like to call him, is just one of those kids that is really a young man that we're super excited for, because he does have that athletic ability, has hands, coachable, humble, just everything about him is the kind of kid we want in our locker room.
And what about some of the guys that are new to the position? Tiger Goslin, the converted quarterback, and then Daniel Taylor. What did he come over from defense? Is that correct?
Yeah. DT came over from defense and Tiger came from quarterback, and they've both been great assets to our room. Tiger is one of those leaders that's super positive. Tiger makes plays. Tiger's going to help us. You come as a recruited quarterback to Navy because you're an athlete. And so for him to move positions, he's a young man that's been able to move very easily. Everything's been fluid and very fluent for him. He understands the offense. And so I'm excited for Tiger and what he possesses and his abilities. Runs hard, catches the ball well. He's a positive leader. So super excited for him. And DT, similar deal. He just wants to get on the field and help our football team any way that he can. And this spring, he's been able to do that and showcase some of his talents. And so, as you guys know, it takes a group of us to be able to truly be efficient in our offense. And fortunately for us, we have some guys that we really can depend on and that are reliable, that can go out there and make plays for us. And so I'm super excited for him and looking forward to the opportunity to go into the fall season with him.
So Chance and Carlinos were listed atop the depth chart going into the spring. Daniel Taylor and Daniel Jones, I believe, were 2s, and Tiger and Colby Jakes. Is it still there, or is there someone new in the mix that was not on that pre-spring depth chart?
No, you're talking about the right guys, and it's Colby Jaquez is Colby's last name.
Thank you.
No, you're fine. You're good. Those guys are all great players. A couple other guys, you know that it takes a group to really make this position go. And, other guys that have had great springs are Mike Maui. He's had a great spring. Kai Rojas has had a great spring. And of course, we're excited to get Devin High back, later on this summer. So we really have a good, solid room. But as far as the depth, that's close to what we are right now. I mean, the reality is I don't look at them so much as 1s and then 2s. It's more like you have 3 or 4 guys that are the 1s, and then you might have 2 or 3 guys that are the 2s because of the rotations that we have. And I can tell you that I feel very, very confident and comfortable with the guys that we have that are rolling in those groups right now, and looking forward to their success.
So before I pass it off to Phil Bergman, what's Devin High's deal? You say you hope to get him back. Was he off-season surgery or something?
Yeah. That's something that happened way back when. So he'll be back and ready to go. So fired up for him too.
Couple of questions. One of the stories I'm trying to wrap my brain around is very small brain, so hard to wrap around much of anything. That said, trying to put last year in context. We talked earlier to Coach Ingram, and they were talking about this year versus last year. How do you think of kind of the virtual environment you worked in last year, now that we're kind of a year out of it? I know the pandemic's still going on, but you're now doing live reps. It's person to person. How do you put all that in context?
I'll tell you what, it is night and day from last year, Graham. There are so many things about last year that we want to put behind us. Obviously, there were a lot of really, really, really bad things that happened in our country. And so when you look at the game of football, the game of football and how bad it was compared to real life, it's not the same deal. And I totally understand that. But to answer your question, in the football world, last year was just horrendous from the standpoint, you can't play football if you don't have spring ball. You can't play football if you're not in the weight room lifting weights, with your team and truly getting bigger, faster, and stronger. You can't go out and compete against top tier talent if you're not physically hitting each other and playing the game. And we were required to do a lot of things last year because of the situation. And it was what it was. And, we preached that you can only control the controllables, and that's what we did. And I thought the players last year did a phenomenal job fighting through all the different challenges that they had. And it just was what it was. It wasn't, and you saw it just like we did and just like our players did. We were not the same outfit that we were 2 years ago from a physical standpoint. And now being able to actually get through spring ball, we have a few days left this week, but to be able to get through spring ball, to actually be able to be doing things on a more regular basis is a huge benefit. And I think we're already seeing the really the blessings of that already. within our football program. And to build a true football team, it's a year-to-year deal. It's born January 1 and then it ends at the very last game of the season. And then you start over. And there's certain steps that you have to go by to build that program and to build that specific team. And we didn't, unfortunately, have all the pieces to do that last year, where this year we're on the up and up, and the guys are working hard and doing everything that they need to. So to answer your question, very, very different. And we're super excited that we're on the field this spring, actually having spring ball and moving in the right direction, and pray that it continues to move in that direction as we all hope it to be.
Yeah, amen. The thing that I don't think most, I'm sure the super fans get it, and some of the regular fans probably do too. But the thing that really seems like it got disrupted was that behind the scenes rhythm. Everyone sees the games on Saturday, but what they don't get a feel for, and it's a feel, is the rhythm that you get in coming out of the game, the practices, the meetings. And it sounds, talking to everybody last year, that they never found that. And it just sounds kind of refreshing hearing about what's happening this year.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. It's, you really, Coach Niemot on occasion describes it like you're baking a cake. If you put too much salt or too much flour, you're not going to get the right product at the end. And last year we unfortunately didn't have the flour to put into the cake. And so this year we have all the ingredients and looking forward to the product this fall.
Yeah, listen to the coaches talk. Everyone's excited about, a lot to be excited about. Hey, Coach, listen, thank you for your time.
You bet. Thank you, Graham. Appreciate it.
Phil Bergman. Hey, Coach. At this point in spring practices, what growth do you still want to see in your position room?
Oh, there's so much that I still want to see, Phil. Just the fundamentals. We talk a lot about mastering the mundane, the simple first step, or getting your hands exactly right when you're blocking a stock block, or catching the ball the proper way. There's so many basic fundamentals that we will continue to work on, and they won't be mastered by the end of spring. So those will be things that we'll have to continue throughout summer as the players run their own conditioning with our strength staff and have opportunities to go out and run, to continue to work on. So I want to see basic fundamentals continue to be mastered, not to the point where they're just doing them, but they actually become a master at doing them. The best players in the world are men and women that spend countless hours working on very basic things. And so we're going to continue to spend a lot of time on those basic fundamentals. Obviously, knowledge of the offense and what we're trying to do schematically, tied into the different defenses that we see. The mental piece of it is a huge part. But right now, I just want to see our kids really work on mastering the mundane, the basic fundamentals of what we do in our position.
Yeah, and the triple, that quarterback slotback relationship, so key. Just having spring ball to do that, how beneficial is that?
Oh, it's been so great for us. The timing, to see our quarterbacks, get the timing right with all the different motions that we have, and you guys understand the triple option with the motions, and it's critical. It is so vital to our operation to be able to go out there and succeed. So this has been a really huge blessing for us to get out there and actually have spring ball.
Obviously, the offense wasn't right last season. We all know that. It's been talked about, quite a lot. But perhaps no position was impacted more than slot back. The production just was not there. I mean, largely because they got very few touches. Do you think the group as a whole, the position, has a chip on its shoulder and wants to come back and show that the slot back, the A's make plays, but, they didn't get a chance to make a lot of plays last year?
You're 100% right. And yes, without question, there's a chip on the shoulder of each and every slot back. But I would say this also, there's a chip on the shoulder of every single person in this program, because that was not the product that we expected to put out last year. That's not the standard that we have here. And so, yeah, the A-backs have that chip, and we want to do everything that we can to help our football program win. But I think that goes across the board for our football team as well.
And I know that you talked a little to Scott about Chance Warren, but I got to feel that we haven't seen the best of Chance Warren. I mean, I think he can be a real dangerous playmaker for this program. Do you think that Chance Warren is poised for a big senior season?
I do. I think he is. I think he's worked extremely hard. The beautiful thing about Chance is he's also a selfless player. And so he's willing to do whatever he has to for the team. And when you have a guy like that has ability and is also selfless, I think that makes for a very dangerous player because he can make plays at any given moment. But he's also willing to do everything he can to block or help somebody else out to make a great play. So I think you're going to see a great season by Chance.
We talked with Coach Downing, and he said that you got DeAndre working over there at tackle. So how's he coming along? I know Coach Newberry had said he got bigger, stronger. Maybe he can play that tackle spot. What are you seeing?
Yeah, DeAndre is up about 15 pounds from the fall, I do believe, and he's stronger. I mean, he's a big body. He's sturdy, and he's having a really good spring season here, moving him down on the inside. So I've been pleased at what he's been doing for us in the interior.
So is he challenging Jerrick at the tackle spot?
Well, what DeAndre is doing right now is providing us some depth, and those two. You like it in the spring practice when you have two guys that have had some experience and, both wants to be the guy. So it's been a battle, this spring, and it's been good, and it's been making us better because of it.
So Jerrick was a starter early in the season, and then he lost that job. How's he responding? And I would imagine that Jerrick has had a little bit of he's got something to prove.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So we sat him down a little bit, back in the fall, and Toby took the starting job there, and then he came back, versus Army, and really did a nice job for us in there. And I believe just being able to take a step back and kind of regrouping. Speaking for us for him, he's come back really strong. His attention to detail has been really good this spring, and you can really tell it, in his game from his assignments. He's cut down on missed assignments, greatly, and it's been really good just seeing him dialed in, focused. And doing everything that we asked of him out there in the field.
Over at nose guard, obviously Daniel Biscuit was a revelation last year. I mean, didn't really know who he was, and then Coach Newberry told us the story that offense was having a hard time blocking him when he's on scout team, and so we said we better take a look at this guy, and then all of a sudden he's starting and he's doing well. I imagine the sky's the limit for this boy. I mean, to start a nose guard as a plebe doesn't happen very often. Talk a little bit about Biscuit and what you're seeing out of him.
Yeah, well, when we had him out early in the fall, and I saw him hit the sled a couple times, and that kind of brought him to my attention then that he may be ready to play ball, this fall. And so he was over with the scout squad, and you're right, they had a tough time blocking him. So let's take a look at him. And he caught the way he caught onto the playbook was like no other freshman that I have ever coached. And a testament to him. He worked at it. He would call me at night, ask me about some things that he saw on film or some things out of the playbook, and we was able to get together then. And just he's just relentless being in his playbook, and that allowed him to play early for us. He has the athletic ability, he has the talent, but the intangibles that he has, just being able to study film and study his opponents is really sets him apart.
So I was just saying, he physically is not all that imposing. It's not like he's a 6'1", 300 and he's just a monster. What is it about him that makes him a good nose guard? Because physically you would think he maybe overmatched in there.
Mm-hmm. It's really Wags is to be truthful with you, is his ball get off and his explosive ability. And to play nose guard in our scheme, you don't have to be 320 pounder in there. You got to have agility. You got to be quick. Footwork has to be on point. And those are the types of things that he has that really allows him to be successful and effective, playing in the middle, and he's going to be naturally shorter than most of the offensive centers that we faced. And with that and his pad level, his natural ability to play low, getting underneath pads of those guys, which allowed him to be effective.
Last question for me before I pass it off, but Seo had shown some things as a freshman, and then last year you tried a variety of nose guards until you got to Biscuit, and Seo didn't seem like he was all that in the mix. Just where is Seo at this point?
Oh, he's right there coming out of the spring. He's listed as our number 2 nose guard. But the thing about Seo is, he had some injuries that kind of kept him off the field last year, and he really couldn't get it going, and right now, he hasn't been out there, but he's been in meetings every day. He's been studying his playbook every day, asking questions and things like that. So his focus, he's not getting the physical reps, but he's getting the mental reps out there, and looking forward to a great summer. Having him back out there in the fall. Thank you.
Let's go to Phil Bergman.
I'm good for now. Thank you.
We'll go to Graham Knight.
One of the stories I'm working on is trying to put last year into context. And as I think about some of the games, the Navy defense came up big. I mean, you guys had some really strong performances out there. As you think back on last year and you look forward to next year, kind of how are they different or how are they the same?
Are you as far as from last year?
Well, yeah. How do you think back on last year? Because there were some times where you guys left me speechless. I was just really impressed with what I saw out of the defense. And there were some strong games. I remember Coach Niemot coming off saying, defense won it for us. They did their job. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, in my opinion, it's all started, with our practice habits, and some of the things that we did, on the practice field. And I remember having that break. We had that pause, and Coach New brought the defense together, and he basically told them, he told the guys everything that has happened. Prior to this, where we are now, it didn't matter. All that matters now is that we finish strong. It matters that we send the seniors out, the right way. And that was on a Monday, I do believe that he did that. And from there on, we saw a difference, in our defense, and a lot of it had to do with, assignments and those types of things. But the guys really bought into it and turned it around, and it has been going on since then. We've had some pauses, here and there, due to COVID, here in this off season, but it did not change the mentality, of our guys. Every day in spring they've come out, they have their with a blue collar type of attitude and working to get better, every day. Just we talk about stacking days. And that's been their focus throughout spring practice. And we have a few days left here of spring, and that's going to continue to be the focus, to stack days and get better as a defense.
So it sounds like some of the momentum that maybe started at that Monday meeting is carrying into this season. It seems like the defensive side it's kind of gelled and is continuing to, sorry the pun, carry the ball. Does it feel that way on the field as you practice this spring?
Well, the good thing about it this spring is that our offensive line, and our entire offense, they're physical, and when you play, triple option offense, they're going to be tough, they're going to be physical. And so our guys, we got to play tough and we got to be physical, because if we don't, we're going to get knocked back. We're going to get knocked off the ball. We're going to give up big plays. And so we really feed off each other, and that's the great part of the spring, where you have, teams that want to be physical, and so if one side of the ball is physical, that's going to create physicality on the other side of the ball. And that's what we've been getting in the spring. And it's been absolutely awesome.
Yeah, last question, and this is kind of a hope springs eternal, or spring springs eternal. As you look forward to this coming season, what highlight or what aspect of it most excites you? A lot of the coaches are talking about players that we've talked about that they're excited to see, expecting great things up. Is there anything in this coming season that you're really excited to see come together?
Well, I'm really excited about, the schedule that we have coming up. Really excited about that. Playing against really, really good competition. I'm excited about seeing our seniors go out their last go around. Because ever since I was a player, from Coach Amato, my head coach, he's always said that, seniors are supposed to play their best football. And I really believe that. And I'm looking forward to our seniors coming out and leading the team and playing their best football, and having the young guys being able to see them and their leadership. And I'm not talking about the vocal type of leadership. I'm talking about, leading by example. And that's the type of things that I'm looking forward to going into next season, because if we get that, I think we'll be okay.
Perfect, Coach. Thank you.
Thank you.
Scott Wyckoff.
Coach, what does it mean for your interior linemen to have a player like a Diego out there that offenses really have to worry about and can do so much? Does that free your guys up?
Well, first, having a guy like Diego Fago out there as a middle linebacker, having a guy that has had the much experience that he has, and he makes all the calls. He makes the checks, and our guys, in the middle got to take to his voice, because it helps us get lined up. It helps us, when to move and things like that. So having a guy like him who's experienced, is really awesome, and the thing is, kind of vice versa to what you're saying, we take pride in keeping guys off of him, because we know if we are playing against a double, then that means, that's going to help a linebacker be able to free up and run. So our pride, is being selfless and being able to keep offensive linemen really off of linebackers. That's how we go about doing our business.
How exciting is it for you to have such a young group of nose guards that you can really bring along together?
Oh, it's been great, and those guys are they're like sponges. They suck up everything. We got the Clay Cromwells, the Bryson Greers, the Ari Rodriguez. Those young guys that's been out there battling. They're green, they're young, they're full of energy. They want to do good. They want to be coached. Those types of things that gets me fired up. Every day I walk in, coming into work, I walk into that meeting room, and they're always the same guys every day. They're never too high, they're never too low. They're always in a good mood, and I love coaching those guys.
You mentioned the offensive line, the physicality that they've shown. Give us a little scouting report. How have you liked what you've seen from the offensive line?
Oh, I love it. I love it. You got to remember now, I come from a time where, it's, run. That's the only way, to get better. That's the only way to have a good run defense, is to go against a good run offense, and I absolutely love it.
Can we talk about who else is at tackle? Obviously, we know about Jarius and DeAndre. I know Biscuit moved over to end. So who else you got working at D tackle, Coach?
We also have John Brand, who's working at defensive tackle. He'll be a junior, next season. He's been working in, doing very well. We have with Jacob Greenwood. You know, he's been mixing a little bit there, but he's kind of like more like a swing guy. Mike Petroff is another one of those young freshmen. Great attitude, love coaching him. He's been working hard in there. And so it's, you know, we got some young guys, you know, on the front line that I think is going to be really good players here down the road. You know, obviously they got to put in the work.
And what about behind Biscuit and Seo at nose guard? Bryson Greer was listed third on the depth going into spring. I don't know, you know, what else you got going on there.
Yeah, well, Clay between Clay Conwell, Bryson Greer, Ari Rodriguez, you know, those guys has been battling, you know, all spring, you know, and all those guys are showing some promise here. You know, they got to have a great off season, and then we come back, you know, for fall camp, you know, and we'll get ready to battle again, you know. But we have some young bodies, some big bodies in there, you know, with a lot of ability and a great attitude.